So let's have a look at my background and my bio. One of the questions that I'm often asked is how I got into the loss prevention business and why I'm now considered one of the foremost experts in retail loss prevention and loss reduction. And I'd have to say that two events a number of years ago led me to where I am today. In fact, one of these events was the failure of a retail record business, which a partner and I had begun about 3 years prior to that. Now, this would have been around 1989, at a time when we had some spectacular dreams. We were quite young, we were highly inexperienced, and we didn't keep strict inventory control. In fact, it wasn't until our company got into a real financial problem that we finally realized that almost a quarter of our stock had gone missing. Now, upon further investigation, it was clear that our company was going under and going under real fast. And the major reason was because of shrinkage our company had suffered. Now, to this day, I'm not sure whether the losses were because of internal theft or because of shoplifting theft, external theft. I can only presume that it was probably a combination of both. In any case, after almost 3 years of hard work and an investment of tens of thousands of dollars, our dreams were shattered and our company was facing bankruptcy. Now, as I began looking at this issue much closer, it became very apparent that we are not an isolated case, and that every year thousands of businesses in Canada, United States, and actually around the world go bankrupt due to both internal as well as external theft. Now, this, for obvious reasons, created a great deal of anger and frustration, and a commitment on my part that someday I would research and design a program that would train retailers how to spot and how to reduce and how to prevent retail losses. Now, the second event probably had even a greater impact in my decision to pursue this profession. A few years later, while working at a natural food store, I had witnessed a shoplifting incident. To be more specific, a woman in her early 20s who appeared to be disoriented, perhaps strung out on drugs, pocketed a bottle of natural soda that was maybe valued around $1. Now, my initial response was a bit of disbelief followed by some nervousness and anxiety. How was I to deal with this unfamiliar situation? This was all relatively new to me. I had never received any store training on how to deal with theft. Nobody had ever told me if there was any specific store policies or procedures in dealing with shoplifting. Now, as my mind raced, I kept on wondering how to best deal with this young woman. Should I simply look the other way? After all, the bottle of pop only costs about $1. Should I confront the person and do my job and get the soda pop back? Should I call the police? Now, I had all these questions on my mind, but I had never imagined what was about to occur. Never had I imagined that my safety would be in any way in jeopardy. Because after all, I was 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, in great physical shape. And the suspect was a petite little woman, maybe around 100 pounds. As the shoplifter exited the store with a bottle of soda pop stuffed inside her handbag, I was right behind her. When I attempted to stop her, to my surprise, she resisted. Now, her yelling obscenities at me should have given me a clue that there could be a problem, but instead of backing away, I persisted on attempting to detain her. Now, this was a huge mistake on my part because a few seconds later, I was sitting on the sidewalk with blood streaming down my face. In a flash, this tiny shoplifter had grabbed a stolen bottle of soda pop and smashed it on my forehead, causing blood to be gushing out, requiring several stitches. Now, when the police appeared, I could only give them the briefest description of my attacker, and as a result, the soda pop thief was never apprehended. Now, weeks later, as my wound healed and my embarrassment subsided, although grateful that my attacker did not have a knife or a gun, I realized that I had never been properly trained in how to handle shoplifting incidents. I had never been instructed on how to handle a potentially violent situation, nor how to reduce all forms of potential theft. A few months after this incident, I began researching how to better prevent, detect, and deal with shoplifting. And I vowed that I would learn as much as possible about shoplifting and other crimes against retailers, and then teach retailers and design training programs to better equip management as well as staff members on how to safely and effectively deal with an increasing number of shoplifting incidents. For more than 2 years, I had worked closely with various law enforcement agencies, loss prevention experts, security companies, retailer associations. Now, just when I had thought my program was complete, just when I thought that I could learn no more, a chance conversation with a convicted shoplifter made me aware of how much more there was to learn. As with most training programs that are currently on the market, most take the perspective of law enforcement. And although a tremendous amount of valuable information was obtained from law enforcement and security personnel, which I'm very grateful for, the actual shoplifters gave me a totally different perspective into the crime, as well as understanding on how to better prevent shoplifting, how to better understand retail shrinkage. I had interviewed more than 300 shoplifters to date, both professional as well as amateurs, to learn more about how they look at shoplifting, how they deal with shoplifting, and how they try and perfect their crime. Now, around year 2000, I developed a series of shoplift prevention programs for both retail management as well as employees, with the emphasis focusing on deterring and preventing retail shrinkage. Now, a couple of years later, I developed a program for those interested in instructing shoplift prevention. Now, at that time, these training programs were only available on CD-ROM. And today, those training programs have been updated and are available online. Now, in the year 2009, I followed up these training programs with several mini training programs aimed in minimizing other forms of retail loss, including employee theft reduction. For the last decade, I have conducted training workshops on various loss prevention techniques, as well as I've worked as a consultant in store layout and security risk analysis. I've been featured on numerous magazines and newspapers, including the Globe and Mail, Small Business Report, Hardware Magazine, Grocer Magazine, GlobeandMail.com, Canadian Retailer, and various community newspapers, as well as dozens of business newsletters and blogs. I've also been interviewed by radio and television. The one thing we need to really remember is that due to the fact that shoplifting and other forms of shrinkage are becoming continually changing and becoming more sophisticated, I also continue to learn more about these and their techniques. Unlike in the past, today there are more resources, including books and websites and network groups that instruct professionals as well as want-to-be shoplifters on how to steal more and get away with this crime. Unlike the past, there are more ways to fence stolen goods than ever before. So in many ways, technology has given thieves a major advantage. Now's the time for businesses and retailers to start using technology to their advantage in order to reduce all forms of losses.